Welcome back, this is Jeff Byers, and this is NE255, and this is Module 7, and we're going to now take what we did before, after I took you through the attributes of the emitter and the particle shape nodes in the nParticle, and showing you how to actually create passive rigid bodies with nCloth. Now we're ready to go the extra step where we need to kind of make this look more like water and less like small spheres rolling around. So this is the next step. So let's go ahead and see if we can knock this out. What I'd like to do is bring the emitter back. From the top view, it's kind of position that in the corner there so we can get a nice simulation. We have that area there to work with. And the simulation is actually pretty wild right now. And what we're going to do is we are going to go in here and add a funnel. Okay, so I'm going to funnel those into more of a stream. Because right now we have kind of like a geyser going on here. Okay, huge pipe broken or something like that might work, but I want it to be a small stream. So I'm going to create a funnel. So go to Create, Polygon Primitives, and go to my favorite. I wouldn't say famous, but I'm surprised that this is not on the shelf. I could put it on the shelf if I wanted to, but I'm surprised it's not there because I use it all the time. So we want to go to the pipe. So from the top view, I'm going to kind of position that where we have the emitter, and I'm just going to scale it up just a bit. And when I'm happy with that, then I'm going to go into the attributes of the pipe, go into perspective mode here, and just kind of mess with the radius a little bit and the thickness. I think the height is okay. So the thickness, and then with the subdivisions here, I'm going to leave those. Subdivision height, we're going to do 3 of those, and let's do the height a little bit longer. Okay, there with the width. Okay, and that should do it. And then from the side view, let's move that up just a little bit like that. I'm going to go into vertex mode and just kind of move that down and scale this in at this point, and then select the bottom ones, and there we've got a funnel. Pretty simple but effective. There we go. So that will funnel all the liquid into more of a controlled space. Okay. Alright, so, and that is still pretty big, so let's go ahead and scale that down a little bit more. We want to have room for it to fill up, but we also want to have the particles to be able to get out. So I'm going to go ahead and with that selected, go to nCloth and go to Create Passive Collider, and now we can go ahead and play the simulation. You can see we get a nice little funnel here now of the particles. So now there looks more like a stream, and that's kind of what I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to add a color to that. Let's go ahead and stop the simulation, play it back. And I'm going to go into assign material. Let's just do a blend and go in here and just call that funnel, and just a different color will be fine. Let's go with more with a kind of a tan, I think will work, or yellow or whatever. Just kind of keep it mellow. Alright, there we go. So now we're ready to go ahead and get this as close to looking like water as we can. So at this point, we kind of know what all the attributes, how we can use them, and how to manipulate it to look like more like water. But the main thing right now is that we need to think about the rate, because we don't have near enough for water, near enough particles to that are being emitted that will even make a dent in what we need to do. So this is the point where some of you guys might be at a disadvantage with a laptop. Okay, so I want you to be aware that I understand the position you're in, and if you can't do as many particles as I'm doing, I understand. Now, I want you to go ahead and take it slow and move yourself up farther and farther with the amount of particles that you guys can actually do at home. So keep in mind that this particular water simulation with nParticles is extremely taxing on your computer. So be prepared to crash. So make sure you save your work and do what you can as far as simulation goes, as far as many particles. You may not go as high as what I can do, and I totally understand that. But I do expect everybody to do a simulation, and I expect it to look, look what I think it's going to look like. Because I'll do a 20,000, and then try to do a 30,000. I'm not going to be able to actually simulate it on the timeline. So what we'll do is we'll simulate it a couple frames just to get it started. And that may take a while, and then I've got to do a play blast, and that can take 10 to 15 minutes, even on my machine. So I can't imagine what yours. You're going to be taking a coffee break probably, or going to eat or something like that, and while it's doing a play blast. But that's all I'm asking for is a play blast, and 500 frames can take a while, and I understand that. But this isn't really our simulation here. This is just practice, so don't freak out, but this is going to help you find out what you can actually do with your system, because when we get into the actual pouring, and that's what you got to turn in. You don't have to turn this in, but I want you to realize that not to stress out if you can't do 20, okay? So 20,000, so don't worry about that. If you can do 5,000, if you can even do what I've got here, that's fine. But I want you to do all the follow along with all the parameters that I'm doing, and don't worry, you're not turning this in, okay? I don't want it to sound like you have to turn this in, so I just want you to do it and do the best you can and see where you stand with how many particles, and then you'll know when we get into actually doing and what you need to turn in. You'll know what you're doing, and you'll know what your system can handle. Okay. All right, enough babbling. Let's move on. Right, so the name of the game here is the scale of the particles themselves. We need to get those as small as we can, and the rate, the amount, and then things are going to start looking good. And it'll start looking more like water. It already starts to flow like water now. We can see it flowing, kind of hanging on to each other. Some of them are hanging on, so it's what we've done so far looks pretty good. We just need to have it look more like a fluid than a solid, so like spheres. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to the nParticle, and let's go to particle shape 2. We've already kind of messed with that, viscosity, and the tension, water tension, which is right here. We haven't done much with that yet, but we're going to. So let's look at the radius. Okay. So the size of the particle, if we play, let's get some particles coming out. If we do a 0.1, which is a lot smaller, and we go in here and we do we want to go to the emitter, and we want to turn this up to 1,000. That's quite a big jump there. There we go. Now you start to see it kind of pooling up and splashing up there, and looking, seeing it's acting like water now, and you can see that this is really chugging. Okay. Now can you imagine what a 20,000 is going to be like? But it's starting to act like water, though. It's pretty cool. Starting to pool. Okay, so I'm going to stop that a minute. So you can see that's chugging. Now, what I'm going to show you is going to be kind of cool, is that you don't have to go all the way through with nParticles with the simulation. You can play a couple frames, okay, and stop, and then go in here and do a play blast, okay. And what I would suggest you do, just for this, to keep it running fast, always do the codec though, as Xvid, and then the quality can be something like 50%, right? And the scale 50, so you don't have to have a full scale here. And let's see here, saved file, and we can do water test. I'm going to copy that and then browse and put it on my desktop, and just paste what I have here and save it, and then do a play blast. I'm going to pause it because, well, it might take a while, so I'll pause. Okay, so we're back, and you can see the play blast simulation is kind of it's kind of grainy. It doesn't look that great, but you can see how it's actually reacting and working, and you can kind of see how it works. So play it again. See it kind of splashing up in the background there. Actually looking pretty good. Okay. Alright, so we can still do better. Alright, so let's go ahead, and what we're going to do now, it's going to sound kind of crazy. We're going to go 20 times that. Now we're going to go to 20,000 instead of 1,000. So, and then we're going to go with a smaller. Believe it or not, we're going to go quite a bit smaller than this. I'm going to go back to the nParticle, and the radius we're going to go way down to 0.02. Okay. And so with that smaller scale, I can do a lot more with the emitter as far as the amount. Okay, so now I'm going to do 20,000. So that's 20 plus 3 zeros. Okay, it's a lot. Right, so this is going to chug along pretty good, and I am going to make a couple other things, a couple other changes. So if we go into the nParticle, we're going to look at the viscosity. Okay, so viscosity, we're going to do 0.15. 0.15, so I'm going to put a 5 on there, right behind the 1, 0.15. And then surface tension, we're going to go to 1 on that. There we go. And bounce and friction, see if we can find bounce and friction in here. Let's go back to emitter and do less of these. We're at 20,000. Let's do let's do 10. Still a big number. See if that will run a little faster. And I think the scale is wrong too, so I need to go back to the nucleus, and I think that's where we did the time space scale. 0.4, let's do 0.8. See how that looks. Okay, I'm back. I basically crashed a couple times, so I am definitely going to save my scene and make sure that you do the same. Make sure you save your scene often while you're doing a simulation, because it can go bad really quickly. It's just how it is with particles. Let me tell you kind of where I'm at. So let's go right to the emitter and take you through real quick in case I changed some things while I paused to get this to work. So I've got a rate at 10,000. I'm not worried about adding a expression. If you want to try that again, you sure can. I'm just going to leave that the way it is. And that's the only thing that I really changed. I didn't change anything else in here, so that's the only thing I changed. So that's 10,000. The particle shape 2, I changed the radius to 0.05. And everything else looks the same. I did not add any. I went back and did not add friction or stickiness or bounce at all. These are the settings I have for incompressibility, rest density, and liquid radius, and viscosity at 0.1. I did change the surface tension to 1. What else did I change? Well, the output mesh, that's what we're working on now. So this is how we get everything completed. So with the output mesh, we're going to go in ahead and go in and do a mesh. So I need to click on the nParticle. And again, before you do this, you make sure you save your work. That way you can come back to this if it goes poorly. So let's go into modify, and let's go into convert, and nParticles to polygons. Again, it's modify, convert, nParticle to polygons. Okay. Now what happens here is you don't really see them because the threshold is way too high. Okay. So what I've noticed that it does glitch is if you start messing around with this too much. So what I'm going to do is kind of take you through the very end of what it should be. So I went to basically to 0 to see it, right? So I went to all the way to 0 to see it. Okay, so that doesn't really give us high resolution, but the blobby surface scale does. So I'm going to go to 0.4 on that. Okay, that gives us a better simulation there. And then we've got the mesh triangle size of 102. There we go. And that helps a lot. And then we've got the max triangle resolution at 500. Let's give it a chance to kind of catch up with that. Here we go. And that's basically it. And then I can go to quads if I want to, quad mesh, and that will simplify it a little bit more. But you may like the triangle mesh better. So this is where it can get a little bit crazy, because here's the quad, and so with mesh smoothing I've got to turn that up to 3, or you can just type it in. It takes a see, it's really slow because it's got so many polygons to. There we go. And this will smooth it out a little bit. Give you a smoother simulation. Okay. Let's type in 3 instead and hit enter. Okay, and that's about it, guys. Then I think that's what I ended up with, and that's our simulation. Let me click off, and that's what we got so far. Still needs to be smoothed out a little bit, but that's not too bad. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and play blast this, and that might take all night long, because it's got to simulate all of the polygons too. So I'm going to do is go to File, Save Scene As, and I'm going to do say this as Final. And again, you don't need to turn this in. Okay, Save As. Okay, there we go. And that's it. So basically you're completed, you're done, and now you're ready. Now you kind of understand the workflow of nParticles and how to put them together, and and you can see this is a lot more involved than what we did for all the other simulations we've done with the regular legacy. So you can see why I waited for this one. So don't worry if you have to go less than 10,000. If you go 5,000, if you can do 2,000, that's great. It'll look a little thinner, and it won't look like it's as good with water, but at least I know you're trying. So do the best you can and go as far as you can. Again, you don't need to turn this in, but I need you to at least try to get it to work, so you know what your threshold is, what your computer can handle. So when we get into pouring the milk, that you'll have that down. Okay? All right. Great. I will see you guys in the next video, and I'll show you what this all turned out. I'm going to let it run for about 2 or 3 hours and see if it works, and then I'll go ahead and show you what I got. All right, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.